It's just days before Halloween, and already Arcade1Up has announced it's officially done releasing products for 2023. If you're in the home arcade community, you know that's largely been met with a collective yawn when they talk about all the products that were released this year. But has it really been that bad, or is this the year that One Up, that Arcade1Up finally listened to its customers? Let's get into it. So welcome back to the channels, guys. And if you're new here and like what you see, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe. We're on the chase to 500 subscribers. So if you like what you see, hit the like button. Want more videos like this, hit subscribe. Love to hear you comment on this video. Let's just get into it. So like I said, today we're just gonna talk about the year that was 2023 for Arcade1Up. As everybody knows, Arcade1Up really had a pretty rough 2022. It was filled with a lot of excitement with titles like Blitz, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and even leaks for games like Time Crisis. Fortunately, both of those huge releases that did come out, MVC2 and Blitz, were met with a lot of controversy. There was a lot of complaining in the community about rehashes of old titles. There was quality control issues. So 2023 had a lot of pressure on Arcade1Up. Right out of the gate, CES in January, Arcade1Up announces a whole line of new products. First, they introduced their first riserless cabs. So long gone are the knee-high 3/4 scale cabs that they had to add risers to bring them up to adult height. They're now delivering the products that were most requested, which were these riserless deluxe cabs. They're the most accurate at the time of any cab that they've released as far as what was closest to the actual arcade release. And so January really started off with a bang. They also came out and officially announced another leaked product, the Wheel of Fortune Casinocade. Again, that product was met with mixed reviews at the time of the leak. Slot machines, is that really an Arcade1Up product? Is that what home arcade customers want? Is it even for them? Obviously, that led to a lot of discussion, but in January, here it was officially announced. In addition to that, Arcade1Up also has their Infinity game table, which is a $1,000 digital game board. Comes with, I think, 50 Hasbro games, so you can play things like Monopoly and Uno and Sorry and all kinds of stuff with the family. But at $1,000, imagine how many board games you could buy for that amount of money. Well, so their answer is to release at a lower cost the Infinity game table. It came in at $500. It's, I believe, an 18-inch, essentially a tablet that would allow you to take the Infinity game board with you on the road. Again, even at $500, I'd imagine you could buy a lot of board games for that price. So it's probably great if you live in a tiny apartment in Manhattan or San Francisco, but for the majority of people, I think that's a pretty expensive thing for family game night. But its owners do really enjoy it. So I don't have one. Just thought I'd mention that. So the big four cabs announced were, of course, Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, Pac-Man Deluxe, Class of '81 Deluxe, and Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe. Fortunately, it wasn't long after CES where we found out Miss Pac-Man Deluxe was not going to be released. So it was canceled. The Pac-Man, Class of '81, and Mortal Kombat hit the stage. They showed up at Best Buy, and the blue Miss Pac-Man was missing. Arcade1Up pretty much stayed silent on that during that period, but the other three seem to be met with pretty good reviews. They did contain the game lineups that were on last year's versions of these cabs, but in the new form factor with BOE monitors. Overall, it was a marketed improvement. But again, software-wise, some of the same issues that plagued those releases in 2022 still existed. But here we finally got a line of cabs that people were really excited about owning. If you've been in the community for a long time, you probably already have bought several of these numerous times. But for newer people like myself, I got into Arcade1Up in July 22. Some of these I didn't have, so these were a great addition, and it was good to get your first Pac-Man in the way you wanted it. Not long after that, Arcade1Up announced the release of Star Wars, and this was a re-release of Star Wars. Announcement came in mid-January. It was sold at the time exclusively through their partner shop Hippo. The new release was not a deluxe. It was still a risered cab. This is one of the cabs that's the highest rated among the so-called home arcade influencers, or the Illuminati, or the super game room dudes, whatever you want to call them. This one I think looks a lot better in that it has better graphics, more accurate to the arcade graphics on the front. Gone are the series of logos, replaced by a lit coin door. The riser melds in with the graphics on the side of the cab, and it just looks superb, plays superb. A great addition. I've always been a big fan of the Atari Star Wars games, and I actually used to own, when I was just out of college, I owned a full-size Return of the Jedi. So it's great to kind of have that back in a not so big and heavy, wieldy, full-size arcade cabinet. Next up was the first new cab to be released by Arcade1Up. This announcement came in March, or it was leaked in March and officially announced in April. What was unique about this release is, for the first time ever, you could link together multiple cabs. So here's a racing game. People obviously are always hoping for Cruisin' or one of these other Daytona, some of these other games, but this aligned with the release of Fast 10, and with the link offered a unique gaming experience that you really couldn't find in any other Arcade1Up or even at Games or any of the other companies' products. Unfortunately, once again, we found the software lacking. In order to make the game run on Arcade1Up's hardware, they did have to downscale it so it isn't full HD. The colors are muted, and because of licensing, many of the key vehicles that you would want to play when you play a Fast and Furious cab are missing, like the Mitsubishi Eclipse or the Dodge Charger, just not in the game. Not only that, but the game promised both games, the Fast and Furious and Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Instead, what you got was Tokyo Drift cut in half, one simulating the original game and the other one with the additional tracks that Tokyo Drift had on it that weren't in the original game. So that meant gameplay was slightly different, and again, the missing cars really hurt it. But of those that bought it, they seemed to enjoy this release. And again, it was innovative from the standpoint of, now we have like a linked system here on a single game where you could play head-to-head in your own home. After that announcement came the re-release of Big Buck Hunter Pro, this one in deluxe form. Big Buck Hunter is obviously a huge game for the bar crowd, shooters. It's just a classic title from that standpoint. But Arcade1Up had released this game previously, but this is now in a deluxe form, so gone was the riser. In addition, they moved the screen up quite a bit, which was one of the big complaints about the initial release. So they listened there and they raised the height, but they still did not include a lit marquee. Um, Marquee that is included really stands out when you have this game in the line with all the others, as it's one of the only few of the modern releases from Arcade1Up that do not have a lit marquee. And again, this is from the same studio that did uh, the Fast and Furious cab. So again, you see a repetition here where they're promising 4 games, but really you're getting 2 that they just split apart in order to make 4 instead of giving you the 4 distinct games that were in arcades. Later that year, Arcade1Up showed up at one of the NBA conferences and announced the 4-player NBA Jam Deluxe. So this is a cab that's been released several times. Includes NBA Jam, Tournament Edition, and whatever the other one's called. I can't think off the top of my head right now. It's a classic. I mean, this is a great game, plays really well. And here we are with the deluxe edition with those molded coin doors. Looks absolutely fantastic. I have the old version, so no need to buy this one. But if you didn't want to pony up for the Shaq Edition XL, which came out last year, which doesn't even match what was in arcades, had a bad monitor, this is a great alternative. And so I think it was met with pretty positive reviews. This is one of the few announcements that has yet to actually ship, but is expected anytime. Next up, Arcade1Up came back around to their January announcement and announced the Miss Pac-Man Deluxe is coming out, this time in the black edition instead of the original blue. Obviously, the class of 81 is half of the what many would consider the authentic Miss Pac-Man with the blue. So not wanting to confuse sales and miss out on the opportunity, they went with the black series. Not much to say about this. Another deluxe cab, riserless, molded coin door, looks great. If you're a Miss Pac-Man, I'm sure this is a great one to add. However, you may want to hold on just a bit, and I'll get to that in a little bit, because in the next year, you may have an option for a much better version. So then came San Diego Comic-Con in July, and with it comes another re-release, this time with slightly new artwork, and that is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. On this, it's a collab with Kith, and it features the Jim Lee art from X-Men #1, and you can see how it aligns here on this image with the original comic art. The Kith Cab's art is muted, so the colors are slightly off of what the original comic was, and you can see how that differs there, but it really looks sharp. Problems with this cab, again, the marquee is pretty plain. It's just a logo of Kith. Is it? Say what you will about that brand. It's an apparel brand who partners with Marvel a lot, but I don't think people really want that as their marquee. Obviously, the art on the front of the corn door is just a pattern, so that was kind of mailed in as well to fill that out. This was a very limited edition. I think there were 1,000 or 500 of these made, and they're considerably more expensive than the original version of MVC2. I believe these came in at just under $1,000. So if you bought one, congratulations. If you didn't, I'm sure you didn't really miss out on much. Then came Evo, and at Evo, Arcade1Up announced yet another re-release in deluxe, but this one harkens back to one of their original arcades, and that's Street Fighter II Championship Edition. But this time they released the cab in the Dynamo HS-5 version. So the cab features an extended control panel. They have this molded plastic piece, which I believe is the first time they've done that slides on. They also, this is the first cab to get rid of, or officially get rid of, the deck protector with some kind of new paint technology. I have this cab. It's excellent. I also have the Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting Legacy Edition one. This one I enjoy much better. It's much more reminiscent, scratches that nostalgia bone, and just looks great in line with all the other cabs because it has that distinct Dynamo look. So I was really happy with this purchase. It plays well. I've seen reviews of other people that show some glitchiness. I haven't experienced that. Again, the software on this one is identical to like the Shinko Hadouken version that was released last year. So if you have that cab, this is just a cosmetic change, and the issues that plague that one plague this one. But I think it plays well and looks great myself. Next up is Time Crisis, and people are finally getting this in the United States in the last week. It's shipped first into Australia, and then there were rumors of it hitting some customers in Canada. Lots of questions around the FCC filing on this, and of course, this is one that was leaked more than a year ago by GameFly. Then images of it were leaked, and the community just hated it. It really looked terrible. So when this finally got announced, Arcade1Up had done a lot to clean up and listen to what the community had complained about. They added a coin door. They switched over the pedal that makes you duck to a metal one. And of course, they made sure the guns have that clack clack sound of the motion of the hinge going back when you pull the trigger. While there's some complaints about the toyish feeling of the guns, and of course at the price tag at $750, this is one of the most expensive releases of the year. By far, most of these deluxe cabs come in at $499, which is a great price. That Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition actually debuted on Amazon during Prime days at $100 off, so $399 out of the gate. It was a great price. So main reason I jumped on it, but it was a great cab. This is one I really want, but I just can't bring myself to pay $750 for it. It does come with 4 games. The two most exciting being, of course, Time Crisis 1 and Point Blank. The other 2 on it are a 2D shooter, but they're both pretty good. So after Time Crisis comes another dual announcement. So this time at Gamescom, Arcade1Up announces Galaga Deluxe, which is exactly what you'd expect. It's the other half of Class of 81. Curiously, they went with the same art on that, but unlike the Pac-Man one, so at some point they changed their opinion there. But again, that's a classic look, more like the arcade version, molded coin doors. Same games lineup, I suspect. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's the same games lineup probably as the Pac-Man Deluxe. But again, looks great, more authentic. Also announced is the controversial Atari 50th Deluxe. So this is the answer really to the mistake that was I don't know why my brain's not working right now, but the last Atari Legacy cab, the Tempest cab, there it is. I don't know what I was thinking. So the Tempest cab, which is notorious, it's a beautiful looking cabinet, notorious for having PCB issues. Owners repeatedly complain that they've had to swap them out with Arcade1Up over and over. And with Arcade1Up's new warranty process, many are being forced to purchase a new PCB rather than having it switched out. So the Atari 50th people wanted the new Atari cab. Everybody's excited, hoping that they would get a missile command. This one actually appears to be in the shape of, I believe, an asteroids cabinet. Um, Unfortunately, it has the Atari 50th logo. Reviews on it, again, these are coming out in the last week or so. They've been showing up. But reviews are the deck and controls are way better. The spinner, the trackball all feel great. So, and of course, you get those volcano buttons there. So Arcade1Up really stepped up the quality on this one. It is a partnership with Atari, so that's why it has the Atari 50th branding with the gold trim. It's supposedly some sort of limited edition, but I don't know how limited it actually is. It comes with a plaque for Atari 50th. But the unique thing about this one, and why I picked it up, it was that it also comes with 50 2600 games. Now, 2600 isn't the greatest of quality. It's not an arcade system. I think even an Atari was my first game system, the 2600. Doesn't really leave a lot of nostalgia because of how basic the games were. But they were still fun, right? They are still fun to play. From that standpoint, it does bring back a lot of memories. And just thought it'd be great to have the combination of the two, especially for my kids to experience some of those, because it'll be easier for them to experience it on that than, say, trying to fire up an old 2600. Though I did also go ahead and pre-order the 2600 Plus, which I'm kind of excited about. But, so Atari 50th, same game lineup as the Tempest Legacy, but again, the 50 additional 2600, 800 titles on it. Next up is really, I think, one of the surprises of the year was the Pac-Man XL exclusively at Costco. Great thing about this cab, this is XL 19-inch monitor, really as close to arcade accurate as you're going to get in one of these Kia type replica arcades. It's larger screen, high quality screen, loaded with games. One disappointing thing about it is it has light up buttons. That's probably the least attractive thing about it. Plays absolutely great. Of course, it has all the live high scores, online leaderboards, all that fun stuff. Great thing about it is the price point, $599. Just $100 more than Deluxe. That's why I'm saying, if you're interested in the Miss Pac-Man XL, you should probably hold out, or Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, because I'm betting Miss Pac-Man XL is going to be one of the first things they announced in January. It'll either be January, February. I guarantee that thing's going to come out and probably be some kind of exclusive at Sam's Club or something. But I really think that's a likely title we're going to see first. Of course, Pac-Man is bread and butter for Arcade1Up. It's one retailers love, so they'll stock it. They move a lot of units to casuals that just want to throw them in their bar at home or in their game room at home. So it's an easy sell. And the XL, I have the cabaret version of Pac and Pal or whatever it is, Pac-Man Plus, that came out a few years ago. Pretty much the same game lineup. I just don't play it very often, but I have found myself playing this one infinitely more. I pretty much am on this one at least once a day. I think it's the overall feeling with the size and everything. It just feels more authentic, and so I'm just having more fun playing it. I don't know how else to explain it. It was a great purchase. So that is the lineup, or is it? Just a couple days ago, Arcade1Up announced two new quote-unquote products: the head-to-head Black Series cabs for Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. One problem, these same head-to-head cabs were released in 2021, so how are these quote-unquote new just released? They're also $5.99 though. Currently, as of the making of this video, I think you can get them for $100 off each at Amazon.com. So what's different about these? Apparently, the only thing I can find that's different is the 40th uh, Pac-Man 40th logo is missing, so they've taken that off. Other than that, they look exactly the same trim, same graphics, everything. So not sure what they're thinking there. Obviously, it's more expensive than every one of the deluxes. I don't personally see the appeal. They don't sit up high enough for adults. I'm sure they're fine, great for kids, but it sits really low. Uh, you know, I'm sure they're trying to bring back that feeling of going to Pizza Hut and playing those cocktail tables, but I don't know. This one just doesn't do it for me, and I don't really understand why they would release the exact same thing they did 2 years ago and call it new. But that's Arcade1Up for you. So, as it says, it's been a big year for Arcade1Up. Big being the deluxe cabs, the XL cab, really 3 new titles: Time Crisis, Fast and Furious, and number 3 is of course the Wheel of Fortune, if you can consider that new. Wheel of Fortune isn't for me. It's not only is the 10-inch screen, I think, awkwardly small on this thing. Even though it's got dual screens, it's the 10-inch thing just really doesn't make sense. If I were gonna buy a digital slot machine, I would want the arm on there, even though people don't need the arms, and they still put them on in the casino because there's just something about pulling that one-arm bandit. The other problem I have with it is the Wheel of Fortune slot machine is actually a lot of fun, and what comes on this is not the Wheel of Fortune slot machine. It's phone games. So it emulates part of it, but it ain't it. It would have been cool if it was closer to that, where that big dial at the top actually spun when you hit spin the wheel, and it was more authentic to the actual Wheel of Fortune slot machines. But this is just, I don't know. I'm sure Grandma will love it when she comes to your house. I bet if you buy her one, she's not going to be happy with you because she doubts she wants this in her living room. But it is what it is. The people that bought it really like it. I hope they get a kick out of it, just not for me. But I think what we have to take away from the 2023, which, like I said, the community feels like yawn. It's just a bunch of re-releases. Like, there isn't anything for me. I just don't get that, right? I think this is the first time that I think Arcade1Up truly listened to the community, right? They got rid of the risers and created more arcade accurate replicas. They ditched fake coin doors, or the stickered coin doors. They ditched the just throwing up a bunch of game logos on the front and gave something that feels more authentic. The quality too, I think, while some of the software continues to have the issues it had in some of the other cabs, which they are fixing. They've released a patch for Mortal Kombat. You're going to have spectator rooms. They're going to, for the World Championship games next year that are going on right now, which we talked about previously. I think what you see is that they listen to them, right? They took the feedback from Time Crisis and they went out and improved it and made a cab people think looks great. They went out with these deluxe to give you that more accurate cab. Where possible, we're getting better controls, like in the Atari 50th, where they really stepped it up. It would be great if the fighters got a little better. We finally got a deluxe that people want, right? Or not a deluxe, an XL, right? Pac-Man. And again, high quality screen on that. Whereas the 2 previous XLs, the Shaq Edition NBA Jam, which wasn't arcade accurate and had a bad screen, or Golden Tee, which could be a huge seller, but again, had a really bad screen and bad experience. Those really, I think Arcade1Up thought they were just going to be selling these to guys in their man cave that weren't really video game enthusiasts, but I think those are games that cross all boundaries, including home arcade enthusiasts and um, you know, guys like us that also love sports, right? So um, they had a huge opportunity to sell both of those, and they'll probably re-release both. I'm guessing at some point with those issues fixed and hopefully upgraded with at least on the Golden Tee side. I'd like to see some more modern versions of Golden Tee on there. Not recent, but some of the more 3D rendered ones and the 2D stuff. And I know it's called Golden Tee 3D, but it's like the very first version. Again, Fast and Furious, not a game for me, but I love the idea of the linking technology. I hope that at some point they're able to release Time Crisis 2 and we get that link capability. I would love to have like a red and a blue cab that you could link together to play Time Crisis accurately. Um, you know, seen a lot of Time Crisis complaints from people when it was announced about why is there only one pedal? You can't play 2-player with one pedal. Well, Time Crisis never was a 2-player game. Second, you can't play 2-player on one anyway, because when you hit the pedal, you duck, or when you let it go, you pop up. However it is, I can't recall off the top of my head. But either way, you would be moving the other player's screen. So you really need to have 2 screens and 2 pedals to play 2-player Time Crisis, and like in Time Crisis 2 went on. So I'd love to see Arcade1Up actually do that. It would be so cool. It would be the first time I'd ever buy 2 cabs of the same thing. I think it would be just awesome. Fun in the game room. Again, shooter should have a 19-inch screen, but so 2024 promises to be the year of XL cabs, they say. I'm betting this Pac-Man is probably one of the first ones they announced, but it would be great to see something like Atari Star Wars XL. Maybe a Mortal Kombat XL, though it doesn't sound like that's likely to happen. There's rumors of another 80s cab that was supposed to come out this year that never did. So hopefully we'll see that announced early in January. But all in all, I think the disappointment that a lot of the community is feeling, I don't necessarily feel is warranted. I think this is the year Arcade1Up really came out and said, look, we're listening to you. We didn't come out with a ton of new cabs, but we took the classics, the ones that sell repeatedly, the ones that you likely bought in repeatedly, and released the definitive editions of them in this 3/4 scale. So I think what more could you ask for on that front? It sounds like from Travis MCP, they're going to be focused on really patching up some of the prior games to really get those some of those kinks that are still there worked out, which will be great. As I mentioned, the Mortal Kombat's already coming out. I think there's another big one about to be released that they just don't want to promise just yet, but it's being finalized, and I think we'll hear about that any day. So I think it's been a great year again. I haven't been in this community as long as some people. I got my first cab in July of 2022, and by Christmas 2022, I had like 14 of these things. This year I've added Star Wars, Pac-Man XL, Street Fighter 2 HS-5, the Atari 50th, which mine hasn't shown up yet, by the way. So I'm loving it. I think these have been great. I wish the Atari 50th didn't show Atari 50th on it. It was indeed like asteroids or something on there. I think it would be look better, but I wanted the cabs, I wanted the games, and if I'm going to get those extra 50 old school games, why not jump in on that? But so that's my piece. What say you? Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I think 2024 looks to be a big year. And if you're interested to know more about the issues Arcade1Up is facing beyond this, turnover in their company, uh, you know, shutting down their uh, physical store in Miami. I have another video. Just jump into my channel. You can check that out as we talk through some of the history of Arcade1Up, the controversies, and where they are today. I can't wait for 2024 to see what's coming. I suspect it'll be a lot like 2023, where it's, a lot of announcements, a lot of talk, and then as we get to the end of the year, suddenly all this stuff will just start coming out like crazy. Um, and so that's, I think, why people feel like there wasn't a lot, but 15 new cabs. This doesn't even count the 2 head-to-heads or the Infinity game table. I mean, they really put out a lot of new product this year. I mean, they gave you on average one arcade cabinet like every 6 weeks. So I don't know how you do more than that. Maybe it's more like 7 weeks, but I'm impressed. That's a lot of product. These are expensive things. I would hope people aren't expecting Arcade1Up to release a new title every month. I mean, we'd all be broke for one thing. I mean, how many new titles can we get? Long timers already have full rooms full of this stuff. They don't have the room to put anywhere else. I myself, a portion of mine are in my office for my team at work to play with. Not here at home, because again, space is always an issue. So, if Arcade1Up releases too much, like, people just can't buy it. So it's better that they focus and release titles that we want at a slower pace and at a better quality, in my opinion. Again, love to hear from you. Would appreciate that subscribe. As I said, I'm on this rush to get to 500 subscribers. So hit that subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to join us every week, Saturday at 9:30. I'm working on various reviews. I like to cover AI. Got a lot of stuff coming on that. I recently upgraded to 5 gigabit internet. Yep, I have 5 gigabit internet in my house up and down. So I'm interested in showing you all that. So that'll be coming up, along with a variety of other topics. So again, thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Thoughts and prayers to Matthew Perry. You're an 80s and 90s kid like me. Friends was a big deal. Got word just before I went live that he unfortunately appears to have drowned in his home, in his hot tub. So sad news. So thoughts and prayers out to his family. He was always one of my favorites on Friends. I liked him on Odd Couple and some of the other shows he was on afterwards. He's a guy that struggled a lot in life, with drugs, but had a lot of success too, and was a part of a lot of our lives. So he'll be missed. So with that, happy Halloween, trick or treat, and I will see you on the next one. And have fun.